Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I'm going to be as big a problem as my sister from now on? I, 17 female, am the responsible kid according to my parents. I have 2 siblings, 14 female and 11 male, and my brother and I get along because we're both pretty quiet and easygoing. But my sister is a complete witch, to put it frank. She throws a fit whenever she doesn't get her way, and usually my parents just give in because she's a big pain to deal with for days. She always has to be the center of attention, and she causes problems to get attention when she's not. Gets really freaking old. I drive them to school and pick them up now, and our mom gave me money to get us fast food for dinner, since she and my dad have a work thing and won't be home till late in the evening. My sister likes McDonald's, but I hate it. And we always eat what she wants. So I say we're going to Sonic, because I know my brother likes their food and so do I. My sister insists we go to McDonald's, and I told her I'm driving, so I decide where we go. And both me and brother are tired of McDonald's, and she can shut up and deal. She starts screaming at me, tries to call our parents and doesn't get an answer, and eventually sulks and refuses to order food. I get an extra pack of chicken in case she changes her mind, and take us home. She has a screaming, crying fit to our parents later about it. Over freaking McDonald's. Later, my mom says I know how she gets, and to just humor her next time. And I say I'm not going to anymore. And also, it's awful that she gets her way all the time. And they need to tell her to can it and make her do stuff me and my brother like sometimes, or leave her at home. My mom says she's difficult and we're more easygoing. So I say, so you're saying I'm too nice and I need to be difficult to get what I want? As I meant understood. I'm going to be as much of a problem as I can from now on. Then I started not doing any more chores than she does. None. Using some of her more irritating phrases to the parents and loudly complaining about anything she wants to do. And now I'm the bad guy and being mean. And they say I need to be the mature example. But also, it kinda worked, because they finally made her go to the restaurants we like and never get to go to. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It seems your parents are neighbors. And though I don't really recommend your course of action, it seems to work. It also stopped doing things for the sister. Can you pick her up? Nope. She's going to scream and cry about some arbitrary thing, so she can figure out her own way home. Here's money for food. Not for her. She'll scream and cry if she doesn't get what she wants. So give her money so she can sort it out herself, while brother and I get food. Can you take the trash out? No, I feel that I'll just enable her as that is her chore, not mine. If you're not holding her to her chores, why should you hold me to mine? Anyway, don't become hated by your parents and kicked out because you're taking a stand. Get a job, make money, study, whatever you do, and move out and go low/no contact with your sister, unless she suddenly stops being spoiled. I agree about not recommending this course of action, despite how satisfying it is, just because Opie is 17 and approaching an age where her parents can kick her out, or refuse to pay for college, etc. Definitely recommend moving out if it's an option, but at that age, it's not possible for a lot of people. And Opie shouldn't burn bridges that she might need, and soon. They won't kick her out. Who would they get to do free babysitting and chores? That's what I'm worried about, specifically the chores part. Opie has her brother. Are all of the chores they aren't doing being pushed into him? Babysitting won't happen, but chores? Those I can see being pushed. Real chores don't start till 12 in my family, so he only has to make up his bed and clean up his room. But he's on strike now too. Not stay home. Bravo. Your parents failed on raising your sister and you and your brother suffered. Now your parents can deal with the fallout of their bad parenting. I'm glad Opie's nearly an adult, but I'm sad for her brother. Parents deal with the fallout certainly, but they always have that unconditional parental love to lean on when it is hard. Little man better hope middle sister attends an out-of-state college. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother christen my new home's bathroom? This has been happening since yesterday. I'm pretty sure I'm not the a-hole, but my family has me doubting myself. Anyway, my husband, 31 male and I, 28 female, just bought a house several days ago. It's really exciting. We've been living in his apartment for the past year, which has been fine, but I'm really looking forward to having something that's truly ours. As you might guess, my family has been excited too. After we closed the deal, we went out to dinner with my mom and dad and one of my brothers. Let's call him Kyle, 30 male. Kyle has a story about him. Apparently, when we all moved into our first house when I was about 4 and he was 6, Kyle was sick. But almost immediately after moving into the home, went to the bathroom and took an absolutely nasty dump on the toilet. Afterwards, my mother turned to my dad and said, "Well, at least someone christened the bathroom." That's it. That's the whole story. I've never found it particularly hilarious or anything. It's just one of those stories that your parents like to tell every few months, and you smile and nod along. Kyle, on the other hand, absolutely loves the story. Ever since then, whenever somebody in the family moves into a new home, Kyle insists on christening their bathroom. He did it when I moved into my apartment. He did it when our eldest brother moved into his home. And I'm certain he did it when he moved into his own apartment. My parents also find it pretty funny that he continues to do this. At dinner, Kyle made a comment about looking forward to christening the bathroom at myself and my husband's home. My husband obviously had no idea what this meant, and my parents had Kyle explained it to him. After hearing the story, he muttered something, and then quickly moved the conversation along. Later that night, he told me in no uncertain terms that he thought it was a bizarre tradition, and he did not want to take part in it. Even though I personally don't care either way, I find it stupid but harmless. It's a perfectly reasonable opinion to have, so I agreed with him. I was talking to my mom last night, and when we discussed the dinner we'd had, she brought up telling my husband about the tradition. I told her that we would not be letting Kyle christen our bathroom, and she tried to persuade me otherwise. I said no. I thought that was that, but since yesterday, she, my dad, and Kyle have all been texting me that I should follow the family tradition. I texted my eldest brother though, and he said I should stand my ground, and obviously my husband agrees with that. I don't really plan on changing my mind about this. But guys, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. No family traditions should involve fecal matter. Tell your brother that you feel bad for him that the highlights in his life is taking a dump in someone else's house. Also, to your family that they have no better stories than a child taking a dump. Their whole traditions involve turd. Congrats. Not stay home. This is a bizarre tradition. And honestly, why have your parents encouraged it for so long? Kinda cute when he's 6, not when he's an adult. If he wants to be the first to christen your bathroom, he can also be the first to clean it. And as a way to discourage this, I wouldn't have any toilet paper in the bathroom the first time your brother is over. Then maybe it won't be so much fun for him. Better have no towels in there either. Your brother will find it funny to expand the tradition. Just tell your family someone already used the bathroom after you got the keys. There, it's christened. I don't mind toilet humor, but this tradition is disgusting. Not a-hole. LMAO. This is the best AITA in a while. Not a-hole. Sometimes traditions need to die. I remember as a kid, my brothers and I had a mini competition to be the first to do things in our new house. And it was all ridiculous things, like first to climb out of the basement window into the backyard, and first to spit on a flower patch. It was like some of the Guinness Book of World Records things that make you wonder why anyone would bother to keep track of that. I can't imagine trying to turn it into a tradition that I spit on a flower patch of every home my family lives in, because I'm not a 9-year-old anymore. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for threatening to ban my cousin from living at my vacation house after how she treated my daughter? My 42 female cousin, 40 female, sometimes stay in mine and my husband's vacation home, which is like an hour away from our town. My mother also lives there regularly. Sometimes my mother will take my daughter into vacation home during the time periods when my daughter has no school. My daughter is 12. My cousin has 2 daughters as well, one 9-year-old and another one 3-year-old. This time my cousin stayed at the vacation house during Christmas period. Due to mine and my husband's work schedule, we couldn't have time off during Christmas. So my daughter went to stay there with my mom and my cousin and her kids. Recently, we started talking summer plans, and my daughter said she doesn't want to go to the vacation home if my cousin and her kids are also there during summer. After I asked her to explain, my daughter told me that my cousin would always yell at her and force her to babysit the kids so she could smoke. watch TV, or be on her phone. She would also ban my daughter from doing her interests. My daughter loves gaming, and we've got her first gaming PC, which she brought with her on the vacation house. My cousin apparently banned my daughter from playing at her PC because she's giving a bad example to her kids, and that as long as she's around, my daughter is not allowed to play games. My daughter also told me that one night she was watching Lord of the Rings, and my cousin's oldest daughter saw some scenes, got scared and started crying, and that night my cousin forced my daughter to give her the DVDs of the movie and banned her from watching TV or movies without her permission. I confronted my mom and asked her why she didn't do anything about any of this, and she said she wasn't aware because my cousin probably did all these when mom would not be present. I have a hard time believing that, but my mom apologized both to me and my daughter. I called my cousin and cussed her off for how she treated my daughter, and I reminded her that she's only a guest at a house I and my husband own, and it's also my daughter's house, and she's got no rights bossing around my daughter. She apologized at first, but then defended herself, saying that as an adult, she's also responsible for my daughter and she did what she thought was best. My husband and I decided to give her one more chance, but told her she'll be banned from being a guest if she does this again. My mom and her called us the a-holes and said we should just accept the apology she gave instead of threatening to ban her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole for what you said to your mom and your cousin, but you would be the a-hole if you subject this on your daughter again. You are being far too lenient, giving her another chance. I don't plan to. Their reaction showed me that I should never leave my daughter on their watch again, and it's also a decision my daughter made and voiced. Let's be honest, your cousin didn't apologize to you or your daughter. She apologized that you were angry with her, then justified what she did. Your daughter can't use your vacation property because of your cousin's mistreatment. That alone, the fact you decided you can't trust them, means they shouldn't have access at all. Not stay home. If she's not planning on continuing the behavior, she shouldn't be mad at the fact she'll be banned if she does it again. That's exactly what I told her after. That I only mentioned she'll be banned if my daughter tells me she pulled something like this again. Her argument on that was that I can't always rely on my daughter's words without hearing the other side first as well. I suggest adding in-home security cameras. If there is an issue or something, you can see it for yourself. Not stay home. Your house, your rules. Does cousin or mom pay any of the house expenses? Power? Water? Gas? Internet? If they don't, then they are both guests and need to be reminded of that. They can call you an a-hole all they like, but in the end, you have the final say on who stays. Most of the expenses of the house are paid by my husband and I. My cousin only pays for her personal groceries alone whenever she's a guest. My mom will pay a small share of water and electricity bills for the time she might stay there, but majority is covered by my husband and I. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's fiancé the truth? I, 21 female, have an older brother, 29 male, who has been divorced twice. It is about to get married to his fiancé of 2 years, 26 female, and she has a party celebrating the fact that she got engaged a few days ago. I was invited, but my brother wasn't, since she wanted to have a little party with her friends, and since she wanted to bond with me, her future sister-in-law, she also invited me. So I started chatting with her and her friends, and later in the night we started to get a little tipsy. Then suddenly she started to talk about my brother, stating that she couldn't believe that he never gotten married before since he is such a handsome man. But it didn't make sense that she said that, since he was divorced twice and one of his former wives had a child with him. Then she started to talk about him, saying things that wasn't true, like the fact that he was a lawyer when he worked at a hotel as a janitor, and that he was making $150,000 a year when he was making minimum wage. At this point, I was shocked because of how all the things she was talking about was untrue, so I asked and told her this, and she said it was my brother. I was confused as of why he said that, but I knew that before in his previous marriages that he had verbally mistreated his wife, so I knew either way I could not let this slide. I brought her to the bathroom upstairs and told her everything, and I mean everything. She looked shocked, and after I finished telling her, she went downstairs, got her stuff, and said she felt sick and left. The next day comes around and my phone was blown up with messages, missed calls, and DMs from my family and brother about what happened. It turns out that after she left, she went to her house, where my brother was at a time, confronted him and broke up with my brother, then kicked him out. My family and brother are calling me an insensitive witch and home wrecker. I don't feel bad about telling her the truth, but I do feel bad about ruining his engagement. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You saved that girl's life. She deserved to know who she'd agreed to marry. Also, what did the brother think was going to happen? If you tell someone lies, but don't tell people who know the truth about lies, they're likely to out your lies whether they mean to or not. It's pretty hard to afford a lawyer's lifestyle on a minimum wage janitorial position, so she was bound to find out the truth pretty quickly anyway, soon after the wedding. Exactly. The lies weren't sustainable. She would have found out sooner or later, but all Opie did was ensure that it was soon enough for her to make an informed decision. Wait, so your brother, a janitor who makes minimum wage, nothing wrong with that, lied to his fiancée about his previous 2 marriages, a child had overinflated his wealth by a factor of 10, and they're witching at you for letting her know. Yeah, not stay home. Don't forget he said he was a lawyer too. Like, what is the endgame here? It's kind of hard to hide the fact that A, he is not a lawyer, B, he is a janitor. You see, he's been married twice and has a kid. I guess that one's easier if he has no contact. But you'd have to rely on everyone you know not to blab. Does he think that the truth will eventually come out, but she's so smitten with him that she'll overlook everything? And seriously though, either he's a really good liar, or she's really gullible if she didn't know any of that. How could he hide that stuff and for how long? First story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my rich parents that my lower class friends and their families are better people than they could ever dream of being? I'll start by saying that I'm a 17 male. Both my parents are very successful lawyers, and we live in a super nice house. They have given me everything I could ask for, but they're not exactly there for me emotionally. I can't even remember the last time we ate dinner together or had a decent conversation. Most of the time, they're not even home, and it's just me, and I feel like a ghost in my own house. We moved to a new town not too long ago, and my parents enrolled me in a more exclusive private school in the area. I've gone to private schools my entire life, but my experience at the school was horrible. I'm short, effeminate-looking, and very obviously gay. The only reason I didn't get my butt seriously kicked was because my parents are rich. I begged my parents to switch schools, but they were hesitant because the only other option was public schooling. I finally escaped a private school of circle jerking and enrolled in this new school. I guess I should mention that a few years ago, this school district expanded their enrollment zone to slightly cover a lower-income area, which resulted in a handful of students from low-income families being enrolled. My first few days at the school were brutal, with a lot of the same problems following me, until I ran into Garfield. It's a family name. I swear he's not named after a cat. He spoke up and said he would love to be my lab partner when no one else would. We quickly became friends, and he introduced me to his childhood friend also attending the school, named Eduardo. Since my parents are so distant to begin with, they never noticed me spending so much time with my new friends. Garfield's mother is a waitress, and his dad a construction worker. Eduardo's mother cleans houses, and his dad works odd jobs, such as driving for Uber. Both of their families are amazing and involved. Also, both Garfield and Eduardo have come over to my house about twice and met my parents. The other day, my mother pulled me over and casually mentioned that I was spending a lot of time with that blonde boy, Garfield, and Hispanic kid. She asked what their families did and where they lived, and I told her. She immediately became upset and said I was aiming way below my abilities, and these were not the kind of influences I need in my life. I asked why, and she said we just live different types of lives, and I'll understand when I'm older. I freaked out and said both of them and their families have been there for me in the 6 months I've known them than my parents ever have, and that they're cold and feeling snobs. My mom started crying and said public school has changed me for the worst. I've never seen her cry before, and I'm starting to feel horrible. Am I the a-hole for saying they're rich hypocrites and that my friends' families are better? Now for the top comments. Wow, not the a-hole at all. I'm sorry your mom is hurt, but not being involved in her kid's life obviously has consequences. And being so judgmental of people with less money doesn't put her in a good light at all, especially if she's encouraging you to not be friends with people who've been so kind to you. I'm glad you have your friends. And full offense, I'm glad you're not a snob. Thanks for saying that. It just makes me so angry. She's judging them by their class and their parents' income level, and I feel like I can't do anything. Not Day-Hall. I am sorry, but your family's now laying in the bed they created. Emotional involvement and basic body needs are completely irrelevant from each other. You cannot feed a dog by petting it, and you cannot make it friendly by dropping food randomly. Now, add the complexity of a human being on top of that, and the mistake is obvious. If I were you, I would say that your emotional needs are unmet, and the family needs a family counselor / child therapist, etc. If he / she is a professional, he will cut through your parents. Even if your friends were rich, it wouldn't change anything. Their class is irrelevant. You're not changing because of waitress profession. Give your parents a chance to fix this. That's a really good way of putting it. And I honestly think we do need help, but we don't really know how to relate to each other. I don't know. My dad is furious with me and not open to any discussion. Not an a-hole by a mile. Being an absent elitist parent is what caused their hurt feelings. Thinking that all you needed was their financial support is what made them a-holes. I'm sorry that your parents haven't been present and involved in your life, and I'm glad you found friends that you can enjoy the company of. Hopefully, your parents can see that they need to be more involved in you emotionally, but I doubt it. They'll likely try to separate you from what they consider bad influences. I hope they won't separate us, but I think they've been discussing it. But there's really no other place for me to go since their first school choice for me resulted in horrendous bullying. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for backing up my sister on a choice for child raising? So, as a bit of backstory, my sister plans to adopt. Somehow it came up in conversation that my mom will be happy to help their kid learn math since she helped so much with me and my sister. Well, my mom is not a very good teacher. By high school, my sister and I dreaded bringing home math homework because mom wanted to help. And she would lose her temper, mock us, make us do extra math problems if we weren't understanding it enough, swear, get angry that we didn't do it the second we got home, when she wasn't home lol, say you should love this, and make us feel ashamed by saying, I could be doing this, but no. So as a result, we tried our hardest to get this done at school or without having to ask her. Unfortunately, she would often inject herself in to help if she saw us doing homework, and if we said, no, we got this, would not listen. My sister said, actually, you were a pretty big source of anxiety for me and my brother because of math. So I think it would be better if we handled it if our kid has chronic math problems. Mom was devastated. As soon as I came in, Mom asked if she really helped me out with math. I backed up my sister and explained that Mom caused a lot of anxiety to us. To the point I had legit panic attacks when Mom saw I was working in math problems in college. Well, I calmly explained that Mom was not a good math teacher, and she lost it. Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. It sounds like you both voiced this to your mom in a perfectly respectful way. Sounds like Mom needs a little more self-awareness. Mom needs to understand that her memories don't dictate other people's as well. Or her feelings. Just because she thinks she's the best math teacher and that they all had so much fun all those years, doesn't mean everybody feels that way. Or that they have to, / are wrong not to. That's a really self-centered and narcissistic thing to act on. I wonder if this is the only thing she projects and overshadows her experiences on, or if there are other instances in Opie's life that Mom invalidates memories and opinions about. I bet there is more. And Mom is probably going to bring them up and make a big deal out of every instance for a while. If my mother's any indication, be prepared, Opie. The storm may only have just started. Interestingly, I had a similar discussion with my mom. She did some things she was advised to do, however, the action to this day affects me. She for a bit refused to accept that regardless of anything else, or even if it was the best option, it still hurt me. She did apologize, which is a step forward for both of us. Hopefully, Opie's mom will realize regardless of how helpful she thought she was, she still hurt Opie and their sister. Not a-hole. Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to. OMG, I tell this to my mother all the time. I warn her, hey, in all honesty, and then crap hits the fan. But better to be hurt by the truth than comforted by a lie. Also, not a-hole. The mother needed to remove her narc blindfold. Not a-hole. It's a bit astounding that she genuinely believed she was good when there was swearing and yelling involved. Next story. Am I the a-hole for blowing up on my stepdaughter for demanding the same expensive gift I got my daughter? So, due to a whole lot of TV show-worthy drama that's occurred in the last year, I now have a daughter who I never knew existed. It's a long story, and we don't have the word count for it, but I'll try to put in the information that's relevant. I, 47 male, have 2 sons, 30, 27, and one daughter, Lila, 22. I met my daughter before quarantine began, and because of lockdown, she ended up living with me and my sons when my state shut down. So over this time, we got extremely close. My wife died about 10 years ago, and it's only recently, 2 years, that I started dating my now girlfriend, 47 female, Kate. Kate has a daughter, Abby, 22 female, who I've known since she was a child. But we are not married, and Abby has a father who has always had majority custody of her. I'm friendly with Abby the way a parent's friend would be, but we do not have a stepdaughter/stepfather relationship. Last week, it was Lila's birthday, and we decided to have a small get-together. A few family members and Kate/Abby. I decided to get Lila something she has been telling me about forever. She told me she has always wanted a charm bracelet, one where she gets new charm on special occasions, something that is meaningful. She has gone on and on about this, so I decided to get her one for her birthday. I ended up getting her a gold Tiffany charm bracelet with a gold locket charm that was engraved with her birthday and name, and inside was a picture of our little family. Her brothers also got her some gold charms that were also engraved with special messages. When she opened it, she cried, and it was a very touching moment for our family. Well, afterwards, Abby came to me and asked when she would get hers, since this is a family thing that all girls will get a charm bracelet. I let her know this was just a special present for Lila, but on her next birthday, I would get her a different bracelet, not charm bracelet. I thought that was it, until later when Lila came to me crying that Abby tried to take her bracelet because she's more family than Lila is, and Lila didn't deserve a family gift because of this. I assured Lila that Abby was wrong, and she was my daughter and a very important part of our family. This is the part where I may be the a-hole. I took Abby aside and lost it. I told her she was not my daughter, and that she needed to leave Lila alone or she wouldn't be allowed over again. This, of course, made her mother upset, and they both think I'm the a-hole. Lila also feels really bad because of everything that happened. I'm okay with Abby thinking I'm an a-hole, but I don't want Lila to ever think that way of me. And everyone involved is biased, so I'm here to get an unbiased opinion. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Abby isn't your daughter, and she just tried to steal your daughter's present and was horribly ugly to her. Her mother is wrong. Her daughter was wrong. Stand your ground. This. Please do your daughter a favor and don't subject her to Abby anymore. Abby could not have been more mean and childish. Abby isn't your family, and I hope for your children's sake she never is. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. First off, 22 is old enough to know that just because someone else gets something, it doesn't mean she is entitled to get one too. Second, Abby isn't family, at least not yet. You're dating her mother, not married to her, and that is on top of the fact that she has lived with her father most of the time and has very little relationship with you. Third, Abby had no right to try to take Lila's bracelet. Again, she is a freaking adult and should know better. Not the a-hole. The 22-year-old daughter of your girlfriend tried to steal your bracelet off the wrist of a member of your family. Abby, who you've known for all her life, suddenly has someone who's your real daughter appear in your life. It's understandable that might trigger jealousy without even getting to pandemic-constrained living conditions. But none of that is enough to excuse trying to rip a bracelet off someone else while telling her she's less a member of the family. Your fury is understandable. It would have been better not to have gone to the "you're not my daughter" line. But hell, she's a 22-year-old adult who should be able to process the fact that she seriously provoked you. The pandemic-constrained living situation doesn't even apply here. I probably would have been more understanding if it had. I haven't seen or spoken to Abby since she was 13, since she lives all the way across the country. Her mother doesn't even live with us since our relationship is still new. What provoked me the most was that Lila had been having a hard time transitioning and figuring all of this out. Lila spent her last 21 years of life believing she had no family. It's been a lot of hard work and therapy reassuring her she has a family now. So for Abby to go and say something so cruel and uncalled for, when this is the first time I've seen her in 9 years, really provoked the worst in me. I just really needed to protect my daughter in that moment. The last story is titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my stepmom I don't like it when she calls me her daughter?" So my dad has him, stepmom, her daughter 14 female, and me 16 female, in family therapy. We started going after almost 10 years of them being married because this is not the family they wanted. They wanted the stepkids to accept the step-parents as like equal parents, and they hoped it would all blend so well we would like be a nuclear family versus a blended one. But that has not happened because her daughter has an active and involved dad, while I just never wanted to call another woman my mom. And so, we're in therapy because it is very much like we're roommates instead of one family. And that's not an issue for us, the kids, except maybe the siblings we share, but my dad and stepmom hate it. So the therapist asked us to say something we didn't like that each person does. And while we were doing it, I said I hate it when my stepmom calls me her daughter because it makes me uncomfortable. This led to being asked why, and I said because I didn't think of her as my mom, and it felt like I was being pushed to reciprocate the feeling. This has been an issue ever since. The same with her daughter saying she hates when my dad tries to spend time with her because she already has a dad. Her mom had a huge issue with her saying that. But yeah, apparently what I said was really mean and hurts her feelings, and I'm trying to dictate what she says when I say something like that in therapy, which is toxic and abusive. So I don't know. Trying to find out what others think. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She's not your mom, and you're allowed to feel how you feel about it. Therapy is one place where you're supposed to be able to freely express yourself. It is pretty a-hole-ish of them to try to make you feel bad about it. Exactly. Even if it was toxic, which it isn't, therapy is the right place to say it because the therapist can mediate and help turning it into the right direction and away from being toxic. The parents are just hurt, and I think Opie should tell the therapist exactly what happened after the last session. Not the a-hole. Your feelings are entirely valid in this case. Just because some people might react differently, and just because your father and stepmother wants things to be different, doesn't make your feelings wrong or even extreme. It is also of concern that you were being judged for something said honestly in a therapeutic context. But that takes me to the key point. I think this belongs in therapy and not in the hands of Reddit strangers. Can you erase this in your next therapy session? Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I don't know if I love her after finding out about her 5-year affair? My sister, 32, moved in with me because she got pregnant 5 months ago from what she claimed was a one-night stand. I love my sister, so of course I took her in. My husband is overseas for 6 more months, so it was nice to have her around because I care about her very much. On Monday, I came home and saw my sister and a strange woman in a screaming match on my doorstep. I obviously didn't know what was happening, but I saw the woman poking my pregnant sister's shoulder, so I intervened. I sent my sister inside, and she begged me to send the woman away. I didn't understand what was going on, but I wanted the altercation to end for everyone's sake, so I told the woman as much. Then she started screaming, asking me if I was also sleeping with her husband. I was like, huh? And then she basically revealed that my sister had been having an affair with her husband for 5 years. 5 years. She had everything printed out. Chats, photos, emails, receipts. It was disturbing to see, and I didn't want to go through it all. But a few things were established. 1. My sister knew about his wife. She knew she was the mistress and liked it. 2. This woman was a stay-at-home mom to their 4 kids, one of whom has a severe disability from a car accident. 3. Her husband knew about my sister's pregnancy and even took her on a baby moon to celebrate it. 4. The affair had been going on the entire time, with my sister believing he would eventually leave his wife for her. 5. My sister had fully embraced the role of being the other woman and was emotionally invested in their relationship, despite his repeated lies about leaving his wife. I told the woman I was very sorry and that I obviously didn't know, but I asked her to leave because this wasn't going anywhere and I didn't want the neighbors to call the police. She was furious, but gave me her number on a post-it, begging me not to let her husband stay at my house. I assured her that no man was stepping foot in my home. My sister was begging me not to believe the woman, calling her a vindictive ex-wife. I told her, all right then, let's look up the marriage online. Let's see if a motion for dissolution of marriage was ever submitted. We fought hard. My sister kept saying I would never understand, and that they loved each other but he just couldn't leave his wife, blah blah blah. I called her dumb and naive. The next day, I told her she could stay here because I didn't want her to become a financial burden on that woman in any way. But I also told her that right now, I didn't want to engage with her. My sister asked me if I still loved her, and I told her honestly, right now, I can't say I do. I will always help my nephew and not endanger you, but I can't like you because you've shown me you're not a trustworthy person. I told her I didn't trust her not to try anything with my husband, and I didn't trust her with anything at all. So I made her sign a tenants agreement. She's been begging me to forgive her, and I told her there's nothing to forgive. I just don't know who she is anymore. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your sister's actions were incredibly hurtful and harmful. It's understandable that you need time to process this and decide whether you can rebuild trust with her. I've been where that poor wife is. It's the worst feeling in the world. Years later, I still wonder how the chick was so naive and freaking careless. We weren't friends, but she knew me, and she believed his lies that we were unhappy and were separating. They always believe the lies, and believe they're the special one he will be with forever. Well, I kicked him out, and they lasted a few months before he was calling telling me she was crazy. Surprise, surprise, that's one of the lies he told her about me, and also told me about literally every one of his exes. So yeah, giant shock. Sorry for the rambling. OP, you are very much not the a-hole. Your sister is just another sad delusional home wrecker. I'm sorry you have to live with that knowledge now. Keep her away from your husband. Even if you trust your husband completely. Don't put him in that position to have to defend himself and fend her off if something happens. Not the a-hole. Your sister's behavior was vile and inexcusable. That poor woman and her children. Her husband is an absolute POS. I said the affair started 5 years ago, right? Now guess when she and the kid got into an accident that left the kid disabled. And your sister knew? She's a despicable person, and I'm amazed how strong you are for still keeping her housed with you. Not the a-hole. She met the kids, took them to the zoo with a bastard. Wow, that is severely ballsy. She wanted them to get to know her so she could hop right into the mom role as soon as he divorced his wife. Yeah, right. Not the a-hole. OP, not only was it crappy for her not to come clean to you after all you did, but she very easily could be putting you in danger. You have no idea if this man or his wife may become unhinged. She already showed up at your house. You expect him to visit? Literally, yes. That was also what I said, and she was like, he would never do that, blah blah blah. Do you have cameras at your house to stop him coming over when you're out? I would. We do have one of those bell camera thingies. Next story. Am I the a-hole for having my girlfriend move in while my wife still lives in my house? I told my wife that I wanted a divorce 4 years ago, but that I would save up some $15,000 to give her so that she didn't have to start over with nothing. I live in Texas and I had a house before we were married, so it's not up for grabs in a divorce. Last year in June, she agreed to take the money and leave, but never took the money and came back soon after, telling me she has been diagnosed with lupus. She's never worked during our marriage. I've sent her to school 3 different times, all of which she graduated. Since she's been diagnosed with lupus, she stays in the house and mostly laying down or sitting on the couch while I'm home. All that being said, I've moved on romantically for almost a year now, and a girlfriend knows my situation and all the details. The divorce was officially submitted to the court. My lawyer keeps attempting to schedule mediation, and she won't agree to a time/date or anything to move the divorce along. Normally me and my girlfriend get a hotel or an Airbnb, but I'm really fed up with it all and made a joke to have a slumber party, and she was actually up for it. I've kept no secrets from anyone. My wife has told me that she feels disrespected by me having her drop me off at home, so this would be a major escalation. Thoughts please. Edit, I don't sleep with my wife. We have not been on romantic terms for years. I don't say I love you. Don't sleep in the same room. I don't and have not led her on for years. This is merely a point of me having been with her for 14 years and I care for her as a person. I don't think she's a bad person, just not the person for me. And I am tired of being held hostage in a situation/relationship that I don't want. Also, when I put move-in in the header, I meant to put sleepover. I just don't know how to edit that part. Is her condition self-diagnosed? Or is there an actual medical report stating diagnosis? Anyway, continue the divorce process. serve her with eviction papers, and move on with your life. This did strike a nerve as far as self-diagnosis. My ex claimed lupus, a variety of cancers, heart attack, stroke. None of it was ever diagnosed by a medical professional. The last time I had any contact with her was in 2022 in a Zoom call court proceeding to discuss the $30,000 she still owed me in an unpaid child support. She told the judge that she had recently had brain surgery and had trouble understanding what was being asked of her. Smart judge kept her talking long enough for her to suddenly lose the slur in her speech. I completely agree. Continue with divorce, evict her ASAP, and enjoy the next phase of your life. As someone with an undiagnosed disease, that's likely not lupus but definitely something chronic. Stuff like this makes my blood boil. People like that, who go around and pretend to be ill, really make it hard for the rest of us to want to open up about our issues. Hope you and the kid are doing great without that baggage. Not a-hole. It's been 4 years and you're still caring for her. While it may be a little petty, it might also be the nudge she needs to finally move on. I don't think the move is petty even in the slightest. This dude is just trying to live his life. And the ex-wife knows her free ride in life is walking out the door and is being a bum now. Lol. Next story. Am I the a-hole? I stopped wearing/using what my husband gave me after he said that it's his money. I, 26 female, had been with my husband, 30 male, for 5 years. Married 3 months ago. I'm a housewife, and I have a little side job so I can buy what I want. My husband has a high-paying job that covers all the utilities and bills. Just a little background. After we got married, my husband insisted for me to stop working altogether since his paycheck can cover everything and help us live comfortably. So I agreed. Last Monday when I got home after I bought groceries, he asked how much is it. I told him it's $950 since he has requests and additions to the list. If not, it will be only $850 just like every month. After that, he got angry at me and told me to stop using his paycheck since it's not my money. I explained to him that I followed the list and got his request. He didn't listen and said that I'm basically throwing it all away. I was taken aback since I only use his money to pay the bills and utilities. I have a side job for my interests and I never ask him something unless I needed it. I was so angry at his accusation that after that day, I began to dig up my old stuff and use it instead. And I also stopped wearing or using his gifts. He confronted me and asked why. I only said that I don't feel like throwing his money away. He looked sad and left. When I told my friends about it, they said that what I did was petty and I should listen. Some of them said that I should be pettier. My parents reprimanded me for taking things too far. It's been 4 days now and we haven't talked. I'm starting to think that I really did went too far. Am I the a-hole for rejecting his gifts? Edit. Since people are asking about why we spend such amounts on groceries every month, I would like to add that we have our weekly dinner with our friends and family, and we're usually the host. My husband likes getting those high-quality products, so I can cook those 5-star-like dishes for our family and friends. I hope you understand. Now for the comments. Not a-hole, but you need to find yourself a good job, so you don't go down the path of financial abuse. If he can throw money in your face once, he can do it again. It's awful to insist she stay home and then say she has no right to his money, like he created a situation to belittle her. His insistence that OP should stop working and his anger over the grocery bill suggest a desire for control over her life and finances. A grocery list he added items to on top of it all, with brand name stuff, so he can impress people they host with 5-star meals cooked by OP. Not a-hole. His comment about his money was hurtful, and your reaction wasn't extreme. You're justified in feeling upset. A serious conversation about finances and respect is needed. OP, after 6 years, he finally told you who he is. Believe him. You can either accept him for who he is or resist. They got married 3 months ago. In his mind, she's locked down. Makes sense for his true colors to start showing now. It's so sad how often this happens. There is a deeper, scarier thing happening here and you seem to be blind to it. I will never understand women who believe their husbands when they tell them to stop working as they will take care of them and kids. That is so stupid. It doesn't matter how much money you have spent, although some people think that the amount you told us is crazy for just 2 people. You have explained to him that you followed a list. Who made that list? Him or you, or both of you? Because if it's both of you, you can't say what he did as it makes no sense. If he did, then he is an a-hole for telling you off. Let's read through the scenario below. Your husband is beginning to show his true colors. You need to look up financial abuse and read upon it, because that's how it starts. Your husband told you that you don't have to work because he earns enough. Then when you spend money, he throws it in your face and accuses you on spending his money. That's step 1. If you don't have your own savings and separate accounts, you are bound to him and you are trapped. Step 2. What do you think will happen if children come? You will have no power over anything because he is earning and you do not. Step 3. He goes and does whatever he wants, whether it is buying stuff, spending money on whatever he wants, partying, cheating, literally anything, because he earns money and you don't. He is allowed and you are not. Step 4. The above may not apply to you, but if you are not careful, they will. Get up, get a job, not a side gig. Have separate accounts, earn money, and be independent. Just because you are married to him doesn't mean you must be financially dependent on him. Never ever do that. And above it all, 1. Set clear boundaries. 2. Agree on a budget for the week or month and stick to it. 3. Tell him to do all the shopping, or split the shopping so you do it separately. Be smart. Last story. Am I the a-hole for considering leaving my wife who cheated on me 15 years ago, now that our kids are in college? My wife cheated on me 15 years ago. Her affair lasted a couple of weeks. I was really hurt at the time, but we also had twin daughters who were 3, and for me, my kids were my utmost priority, and I did not want them to struggle at all. So I decided to stay with my wife, who followed all the reconciliation steps. It took me a couple of years to regain my love for my wife after she spent a lot of effort to better herself and our relationship. However, I have never forgotten the affair, and my wife cheating on me was always on the back of my mind. It's been 15 years now, and our marriage is not without its ups and downs, but we've also gone on vacations, do date nights often, and our relationship is still pretty romantic. Our daughters turned 18 a few months ago and they are both in university now. I am really proud of both of them and cannot be happier. But now that they're both in college, and now that they're independent and entering adulthood, I have been seriously considering the possibility of a divorce. As a parent, I think I have done my job and have done my best to raise them in a loving home. I do love my wife, and if I ask her for a divorce, it will completely blindside her. But I still haven't forgotten my wife cheating on me 15 years ago, and it will always be on the back of my mind as long as we're married. Would I be the a-hole for considering divorce? Wow, this is such a tough situation. First off, you're definitely not the a-hole for having these feelings. 15 years is a long time, but emotional scars don't have an expiration date. You've clearly been a dedicated father and partner, but it's also okay to acknowledge that certain things have been weighing on you for years. However, if your wife truly has been committed to rebuilding the relationship and you've had 15 good years together, blindsiding her now might feel like a betrayal in itself. It might be worth considering counseling to sort through these feelings before making such a life-changing decision. You owe it to yourself and to her to explore if there's any way to find peace with the past. Ultimately, your happiness matters too, but transparency is key if you're thinking about leaving. It's a complicated situation, but whatever you decide, make sure it's what you genuinely need to heal and be happy. The only thing I would add to your advice is that OP should probably get individual counseling, whether or not he decides to divorce. And if he is uncertain at all, consider marriage counseling even if they already did that. If you're prepared to live alone, it's a big shock to the system to be single suddenly in middle age. Big shock. You may not find it all that great. Dating later in life is excruciating. So many people you'll meet will be the walking wounded. I left my angry, controlling husband after 14 years, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. Putting the pieces back together has taken 4 painful years. To be honest, I don't recommend it unless it's really necessary. If I do divorce, I plan on moving back close to where my family lives. Dating isn't really on my mind now. It'll be nice to spend time with my father and sister, who has been sort of begging me to just get a divorce, now that my kids are in college. Not the a-hole, but I'm wondering how you'll tell your daughters. I'm assuming they don't know about the affair. I'm genuinely curious. Will you now tell them what their mom did, or just say you guys fell out of love? I'll say we fell out of love. Am I the a-hole for saying that it's my sister's fault her husband is divorcing her? My 27 female sister, 32 female, is currently in the process of divorce started by her husband, 40 male. They were married for a total of 2 years. But the problem started with brother-in-law wanting his own biological kids. I'll explain later. And my sister not wanting them. She was always against having kids, but the moment they started seeing each other, she started making certain changes about herself. He had the courtesy of telling her quite early where he wanted the relationship to go, and my sister at that point went from no to maybe to one day, and then yes. They got married. But maybe the realization finally hit her when we went to meet our cousin who had given birth. Yes, a new mother's body is not exactly the epitome of sexy because pregnancy does things to a mother's body. I could tell sister was detracting. And it was still early in the marriage when I asked her to reconsider and end the marriage now before it's too late. She was adamant that she wanted a child, but I could tell she was flaky. She never talked to me, but she would talk to our mother, and I would hear from her how brother-in-law was still going on about wanting a child, but she's not feeling like wanting a child anymore. Oh boy. A month ago, brother-in-law reached his limit and finally asked sister to be upfront. And she straight up told him she does not want to be a mother and started offering alternatives like adoption. Brother-in-law did not want to hear any of that, and sister came to live with us. As to why brother-in-law wants biological children, he was previously married and has 2 children. Then he found out that neither of them are biologically his. He pays child support but does not see the kids anymore. Understandable. Sister also knew this, but maybe love blinds people. She is here bawling her eyes out because brother-in-law started the divorce proceedings and does not want any sort of compromise. Parents have been giving brother-in-law crap for days now, and so is sister now about how stubborn he is, and wish she could see it before. It got annoying to a point where I told her that it was her fault that she was not ready, lied to him, and now expect him to accommodate, fully knowing his side, and that her foolishness impacted the life of 2 people. Now they're angry at me for taking a side. Am I the a-hole? If so, what can I do to make it right? I'm not going to retract my words because they're exactly what she did. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She lied to her husband by pulling a bait and switch on him. That's really shady. She's getting what she deserves for doing that and just can't accept that. All you did was tell her the truth. These aren't the type of things you can just change your mind on when you marry someone, at least without consequence. She needs to commit one way or another because waffling on something as high gravity as this will doom her relationships to failure now and in the future. Props to you, Opie, for giving your sister a hard dose of reality. Did she pull a bait and switch, or did the reality hit her that she didn't want to go through pregnancy? Yes, that is possible. But she still didn't tell her husband that she had changed her mind. He had to confront her to even get her to tell the truth. Everyone sucks here except brother-in-law. This is a deal breaker for him. Ed is making the right choice. Compromise either way would only breed resentment and ruin what's left of their marriage. It's better and more responsible to cut it off now so they can find people who are fundamentally more compatible. Your sister definitely should have been honest. This is a situation of her own making because she tried, out of love, to want something she does not want. However, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to rub salt in her wounds, and you've done her no favors for it. Your parents need to stop blaming brother-in-law. She doesn't need to forgo biological children just because she doesn't want them. He's not wrong for making this choice. It'd only be wrong if he tried to force her into pregnancy after she'd outright said no. He didn't. She made herself clear, so he left. That's unfortunate, but that's all it is. Real true support does not come from blasting the other person for the things they want for themselves. Less focus on him, more on her. And you learn to read a room. Tact is a valuable resource, and given that this is a sensitive subject, you should take your hints from that and be sensitive. There's nothing at all to be accomplished from telling her truths like that. You should apologize. Not because you stated something untrue, but because you were unwittingly or otherwise cruel to a family member who is already suffering. That was very well put. I agree with everyone sucks here. Unless you were directly asked for your opinion, OP, then what you have done is kicked someone while they were down. You don't have to lie to her, but you don't have to wield the truth like a hammer either. She will get plenty of that in the divorce proceedings. Info. How do you know that your sister wasn't lying to herself and telling her husband what she believed was true at the time? Given what you have said about her freaking out about what pregnancy does to a woman's body and suggesting adoption, it sounds like your sister is opposed to giving birth, not to having children. And maybe she initially thought she could push past that fear for something she wanted with her husband. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister her being a stay-at-home mom is a joke and she's just selfish? I want to make it clear I'm not slagging off being a stay-at-home mom, just my sister's version of it. I know how much hard work it is and I'm not putting anyone down for it. But my sister really does just sit around doing nothing all day, while somebody else does all the work, and then whines about how hard it is being a stay-at-home mom, and I've had enough of it. My sister Carol, 26 female, and I, 24 female, have always been polar opposites, so we do clash on quite a few things, but generally we are close. She has 2 kids, Rose 6 female and Ty 7 male, and I have a son Oz 2, and they're really close. Carol has always been a stay-at-home mom ever since she left school and never had a job, whereas I've always been career-driven. My job's hours can be long and irregular, but I love it. Though if ever say I'm tired or I've had a hard day, Carol has to one-up me and say how she's even more tired or has had an even harder day because she's a stay-at-home mom, so works 24/7. The thing is, all the things a stay-at-home mom does, she doesn't. Both kids are in school, and her husband Dan is the one that gets them ready, helps with homework, cooks all the meals, they have a cleaner. And Carol doesn't drive, so my mom picks kids up from school and looks after them till Dan gets home from work. Most weekends, Dan will bring the kids over to me. I live a 10-minute walk away, so Carol can have a break. So I don't have much sympathy for her, but most of the time I just let it go. But last week was half term. I was able to get most of the week off, but on Friday there was an emergency at work, so I needed to go in immediately. My husband was away, and my nanny and babysitter were busy, so I asked Mom if she could look after Oz as I had to go into work urgently, but she couldn't as she was looking after Rose. I asked where Carol was, and Mom told me she was at home but was feeling tired, so needed rest. I said that she could bring Rose over, but she couldn't as Rose had friends over for a playdate. But I took Oz and rushed over to Carol's house to beg Mom to take him. While I'm talking to Mom, Carol came down. I explained the situation, but she said that as Rose has friends over, it would be inappropriate for Oz to be there. So I asked why Mom couldn't take Oz back home for a few hours and Carol watched the girls. Carol seemed offended by the suggestion that she should look after her own child herself. And I had about had enough and knew this was just wasting time when I had to get to work. So I said, well, thanks for nothing, and left and took Oz to work with me. It worked out fine, but I was pissed with Carol. So today I went over to Carol's. I wanted to put the situation behind us and move on, but she brought it up. She said she was waiting for an apology from me. When I left, she told me I just don't get how hard being a stay-at-home mom is. I told her she doesn't even know what a hard job is, and that the fact she calls herself a stay-at-home mom is a joke, and that she's just lazy and selfish. I left and she told me that I'm not welcome back. Not at a-hole. As a stay-at-home mom myself, I do know how hard it is, but I have also worked a full-time job. Neither is easier than the other, and it sounds like the real problem is she's selfish and lazy, not with her workload. Not at a-hole. She's the worst. Also, why on earth would it be inappropriate to have friends over and a cousin? Yes, every one of my niece's birthdays was super inappropriate because she had friends over and her cousins. That's so annoying. Being a stay-at-home mom is so much work, but only if you actually work. She said that he would interfere with her game, and the girls were there to play with Rose, not a 2-year-old they didn't know. To be honest, I really didn't know what she was on about either. I think it was just an excuse not to have Oscar. Just for clarification, your mom has time to babysit your sister's kids, but absolutely cannot do so for you in the middle of an emergency. Really? We are not focusing enough on how unfair and enabling your mom is being. It isn't the first time my mom chose to babysit for my sister instead of me when I asked first, so I stopped asking her. But I was desperate this time, so I went for my last resort. Next story. Am I the a-hole for confronting my sister's girlfriend upon being accused of not caring about their baby? My wife, 35 female, and me, 34 male, have been married for over 8 years and have been trying to have a kid forever. We have suffered 3 miscarriages in the process, the most recent one being over 2 weeks ago. Now, my sister Ashley, name changed, left her abusive prick of a husband over a year ago. It has been in a relationship with another woman, Brenda, name changed, for 8 months now. Over 2 months ago, Ashley gave birth to a baby girl. She came as a source of joy for all of us, considering that my wife was pregnant at the time too. However, around 2 weeks ago, my wife and I suffered our 3rd miscarriage. This was around the same time that Ashley began to behave strangely. She was constantly depressed, irritable, and weepy, and often attempted to drive the conversation away from her child and babies in general. These symptoms were there before too, but this was when they really began to come to light. It was then that she was diagnosed with PPD. Around 2 days ago, I decided to take my wife on a road trip to visit her parents to take her mind away from the miscarriage for a while. While we were packing for the trip, Brenda paid us a visit and asked us if we could help take care of the baby, as she wanted some quality time with Ashley. I knew that it would not do good for my wife's mental state to be around a baby right now, as it would trigger a lot of emotions. I kindly refused, and told Brenda that we were visiting her parents and we would not be available for a while. This really angered Brenda, and she began to call me out for being a selfish brother. She said that Ashley would never do this to me, and that we could never understand the problems they were going through, and at this point, taking a vacation and abandoning Ashley and the baby was extremely uncalled for. However, when she said that I did not care about the baby, that was the last straw. I countered saying that my wife already has enough on her plate to deal with, and she doesn't need Brenda's toxic vibes right now. I asked her to leave our house and take her negativity with her. Am I the a-hole for behaving the way I did with Brenda? Edit. To everyone who has been asking, Brenda and Ashley are both fully aware of the miscarriage and were in fact in the hospital at the time. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Not at all. You took a stand for your wife. Your sister-in-law is being totally unreasonable and entitled in selfishly expecting you to watch their baby right after you suffered a miscarriage, and in refusing to even consider why taking care of a baby could be traumatizing for you too. They can hire a babysitter. Also, I'm really sorry for your loss, OP. Hugs. No, you don't get it. Only Ashley is allowed to have emotions. OP's wife should be grateful to still act as a parent/babysitter for a moment. This reminds me of when I had 3 kids under the age of 5. One who was a newborn. It was keeping my neighbor's 2-year-old to make some money. My husband's sister had 2 kids and wasn't handling this well, so her husband thought I should help her out, because he couldn't be bothered apparently. That discussion didn't go well. Not the a-hole. Brenda thinks that demanding free childcare from a woman who just suffered a miscarriage is reasonable. While it's admirable for Brenda to want to support Ashley through her PPD, she is completely lacking in empathy for your loss. You did the right thing for your wife. Brenda is the next abusive partner OP's sister has attracted. Likely narcissistic, coming by to enjoy OP's pain and throw oil on the fire. Not the a-hole, OP. Best to go low contact or no contact. Brenda was way out of line. I'm sorry Ashley was going through PPD, but your wife's, and your, loss was equally as devastating as your sister's PPD. Perhaps even more so. Both you and Brenda were protecting your significant other, but Brenda was going about it by being an a-hole. You, on the other hand, were not an a-hole. Not at all. Last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not letting my sister make my son's birthday cake? My sister is an aspiring professional baker. She set up a Facebook business for it in 2018, and so far has not been able to build up much of a client/customer base. Part of the reason for this is she isn't the best decorator out there, and sometimes she's downright bad. Before setting up, back in 2017, she did taste and feedback tests with the family. She told us she wanted to know if/where she needed to improve and all that stuff. Cool. A couple of people told her she was great and that she should open her business because she'd be great. The rest of us, me, dad, older brother, younger sister, and my husband, all mentioned how she needed to lay off on the sugar a bit because holy freaking hell was she poisoning those cakes. And we mentioned she would need to refine her skills with the decorating side. She asked for specifics, and we gave them. Especially on the kids' design because they were downright terrifying for kids. Tested on some of our kids. She didn't take it on board though, except for the sugar. She told us at the time we had overreacted to the designs and would see. My sister has 5 reviews on her profile. 3 of them are 1-star with the same feedback we gave about the appearance of the cakes. One woman had her 2-year-old cry when they saw the cake, and another had her 5-year-old say they were scared of it. The other one was more angry about it and did not hold back. The other 2 are 3-star reviews and say it could have been a lot better. It frustrates my sister. She tries to grow but doesn't listen to feedbacks. My son is turning 8 this year, and it will be his first friend party due to circumstances. My sister asked if she could do the cake. I told her we had already ordered one, which is true. She was hurt I wouldn't go to her over another baker. She offered to cover the cancellation fee, and I turned her down. Then she got mad. Said how can she build her business if family won't even help her out and give her practice and a portfolio to build. I told her that she should start listening to the feedbacks she has received, instead of pressuring family to become guinea pigs for inventions. I also suggested she practice without getting an order, because it means she can provide a better quality product without using other people's money/celebrations to do it. She told me a good, not a prick, sister would give her the experience, and that it would mean so much more to my son to have a cake made by his loving aunt than some random baker. She has me feeling a bit bad because despite her telling me I'm a prick if I don't, I can see she's genuinely hurt we don't like her cakes enough to give her this. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister does not have a business. She has a Facebook pipe dream. After 4 years, she needs to face reality that she's not capable of baking for profit. I think that's kinda where my frustration stems. She could make it a profitable business/side business if she put in the work to grow and improve in her weak area, decorating. It has never felt like she has put that work in. She expects to grow as she works, but people don't want to pay for that. Your sister is trying to walk before she crawls. She needs to refine her skills. No one wants a cake from the 1-star Facebook baker. Except me. I'm in bed and it's 3 a.m. Please bring me a cake from the 1-star Facebook baker. Now. Not a hole. As much as I hate to say it, some people got it, some people don't got it. She seems to fit into the latter category. She apparently needs a lot more practice before she entertains her dreams of branching out into a successful business. It may hurt her feelings, but you gotta be honest at times. Too much negative feedback in early stages can downright cripple a fledgling business. She needs to be 100% confident in her work and have a portfolio of cakes/treats that she has made that she can provide on request. My wife takes photos of every cake she makes, even just to kill time, and is building up quite a collection of photos. I agree. If she practiced and learned how to strengthen her ability in the decorating area of cake making, she could be doing a lot better, but she needs to put in the work to learn. Not everyone has a magical skill right off the bat.